Types of mushrooms. So mushrooms can be broadly divided into 6 major types. This is not a formal way of classification, but rather for our understanding we can classify mushrooms based on their stature into 6 different types. So I have listed out all the 6 types. We'll go through each one of them. First one are agarics. So what are agarics? So these are mushrooms that contain 3 major structures. It possesses a cap, gills on the underside and stipe. So on the right corner you can see the overall stature, you can see the cap, you can see the stipe. Now when you pick the mushroom and when you turn it upside down, you can see that there are few sheet-like structures, few radially arranged sheet-like structures. These sheet-like structures are called as gills. These are commonly called as toadstools. Although in some part of the world, toadstools are used to denote toxic mushrooms. So the shopboard mushrooms, the button mushrooms that you buy from the supermarket is an example for this type of mushrooms. So on the right side, the mushroom depicted is a Pluteus species. It is also known as deer mushroom. On the left, the image that you see is of Philobolus manipularis. It is a bioluminescent mushroom. Second category of mushrooms are bolides. Bolides. These are similar to agarics in stature, but it has a small difference. So the main difference is that instead of gills, these type of mushrooms have pores in their underside. So they are poroid. So they have a poroid underside. So they have a cap, they have a poroid underside and a stipe. So majorly comprises of Boletails members. So Boletails is the order. So the members of Boletails order can be considered as of this stature. Example, Boletus species, Tylopilus species. The image on the right that you see is of Tylopilus species. Now, when you take a cross section of this particular mushroom or this particular stature of mushroom, you can see that the pores are formed by arrangement of tube-like structures. This particular tube-like structures are responsible for releasing of spores. So the spores mature and get released through this particular tube-like structures. Ending of these tube-like structures form a poroid underside. On the left side, the image that you see is of a Indoporus species, Indoporus shoriae. Commonly, these bolides are mycorrhizal in nature, most of them. Next type of stature is polypores. Polypores are similar to bolides because they have a poroid underside, but they do not possess a distinct cap and stipe structure. They form a shelf-like fruiting body. So here on the image, you can see the Ganoderma species on the right side, where you can see the poroid underside, you can see the colorful shelf-like fruiting body, and when you take the cross section, here also you can see that it is composed of tube-like structures which end in poroid underside. Examples are Ganoderma species, Trameter species, etc. So Ganoderma, some of the Ganoderma species are commonly called as reishi mushroom, which is used in Chinese medicines. So they are medicinal mushrooms. Trametus versicolor is called as turkey tails, which is used as a medicinal mushroom. Fourth category of mushrooms are gasteroid fungi. Now, what are gasteroid fungi? Gastero means related to stomach. Although this doesn't have any relationship with stomach, in this type of mushrooms, the spores, the immature spores, are enclosed within a sac or egg-like structure. Hence, it is called as a gasteroid fungi. The sac breaks on maturity, releasing the mature spores. So, there will be a sac-like structure, and inside the sac-like structure, there will be the immature spores. On maturity, what will happen? This sac-like structure ruptures and the spores are released. So few examples of such mushrooms are the commonly called puffballs. So you can see puffballs growing from ground and on trees. So the ones growing on ground, they are of Lycopodon, Bovista, even Calvatia, the giant puffball, and the one growing on wood is usually Apiopodon species. So these are few examples of puffballs. You can also see that the stinkhorn mushrooms that you see are also a form of gasteroid fungi because initially they start from an immature sac-like structure enclosing the immature mushrooms, spores, and later this sac-like structure ruptures and a phallic structure is formed with spores at the apex. Another type of gasteroid fungi are earth star mushrooms. So these resemble a star-like structure. They assume a star-like structure. All these puffballs, earth stars, and stinghorns are commonly found in the Western Ghats. So when you go out in search of mushrooms in the Western Ghats, you are likely to see or likely to come across these types of mushrooms. The fifth category of mushrooms are jelly fungus. As the name suggests, they have a jelly-like appearance or a jelly-like consistency. They do not possess any uh, structures like the cap or the stipe or the underside. They just assume a jelly-like consistency. Now, few examples of this jelly-like fungus are wood ears. So we have seen the auricularia species. So that is one example of these types of fungi. Then there is snow fungus, that is Tremella fusiformis. Then you have the fan-shaped jelly fungus, the Dacrymyces spatularia or Dacrypinax spatularia, depending on the current nomenclature. So these are few examples of jelly fungi. Moving forward, the sixth category are corals and club fungi. As the name suggests, they resemble corals that are found on a aquatic habitat. So they resemble corals. And the club fungi, they resemble a long club. So these are also called as clavarioid fungi. Why? Because Clavaria is one of the genus that is one of the most popular genus in the coral and club fungi category. Hence, the fungi that are looking similar to this particular fungi or this particular genus are called as clavarioid fungi. Few examples include Clavaria, Ramaria, Clavulina, etc. Here in the image, you can see the club fungi on the left, and you can also see the coral-like appearance on the right side. Role of fungi in nature. So, as people who are working in close relationship with forest, we should have an understanding about the role that these particular mushrooms play in nature. So these are basically interactions. So the mushroom can either interact with the environment, that is the immediate habitat, or it can have interactions with the life forms that they coexist with on that particular microhabitat. And these interactions can be positive or negative. We'll see few such interactions that are very relevant in nature. So first one, fungi are considered as the architects of ecosystem. They play major role in building an ecosystem. They are one of the pioneer organisms in primary succession. Why they are considered as pioneer organisms in primary succession? Because they possess a cascade of enzymes, and these enzymes are able to digest complex organic matters. Organisms like lichens, which are symbiotic relationship between a fungus and an algae, are capable of growing on rocks and degrading them or breaking them down into finer particles. Hence, they are considered as pioneer organisms in primary succession. Fungi are majorly decomposers. Hence, they decompose all the organic waste that are available in the forest. Let's say a fallen twig, a leaf, or a wood. So these fungi consume these particular substrates, degrading them and helping in clearing all the waste. And the carbon is assimilated into the soil, helping in the carbon cycling. If fungi are not available in a particular forest, which is a hypothetical situation, the forest floor would be filled with organic waste, which may not get digested just with the bacterial community. Therefore, fungi are very important in clearing the waste materials from a particular area. The next type of relationship. This is a relationship with other organisms. So the first one was relationship with a microhabitat or the habitat in which they were growing. So the next one is the wood wide web. So what is wood wide web? Some fungi, some mushroom forming fungi interact with the roots of certain trees and plants. This particular interaction or the symbiotic interaction is called as mycorrhizal association. So, in mycorrhizal association, there will be a mycosymbiont, that is the fungi, and a plant symbiont, that is a tree. Now, what is this mutualistic relationship? So there is flow of nutrients from the fungi as well as the tree. The fungi will provide protection to the roots of the tree. It will form a mantle around the tree roots or the root hairs, preventing entry of potential pathogens. It also increases the longevity of the root and also increases the efficiency of absorbing nutrients. These are few uh, positive benefits that the symbionts possess. If you consider the sal forest in India, so there are many mushroom species that have the plant symbiont as sal. For example, the Indoporus shorea that we saw in the previous slide is a symbiont for shorea tree, that is the sal tree. Another relationship that the mushroom has with other organisms in its habitat is that they act as a food source for other organisms. For example, organisms like snails, slugs, squirrels, reindeers, etc. consume mushrooms in large quantities. So many mushrooms that are considered toxic to humans are not toxic to such organisms. Squirrels are known to be tolerant to a large number of toxic compounds that are present in mushrooms. Insect larvae, like that of Mycetophilidae family members, consume mushroom fruit bodies, mycelium, etc. They are commonly called as fungus gnats. Another relationship with insects and mushrooms is observed in termites. Termites belonging to the subfamily Macrotermitinae, the fungus growing termites lack the ability to digest wood. They do not possess the enzymes that can digest wood. We know that mushrooms, certain species of fungi, are capable of producing such enzymes and digest wood. So these termites cultivate such fungi in their nest, forming a fungal farm that can digest wood, and this digested wood is consumed by the termite. One such mushroom that is seen in association with termites is the termitomyces mushroom, which is only found in Asia and Africa. This particular mushroom is cultivated by the termites and are considered as a highly valued edible mushroom in Asian countries as well as African countries. This relationship of termitomyces with termites is a strict relationship, meaning they cannot grow independently. So it is impossible to cultivate such mushrooms unless you are cultivating the termites first. Overharvesting of such mushrooms have caused a decline in their population in the past couple of decades. For instance, there was a small area near my house where this particular termitomyces mushroom used to grow. The mushroom needs to spread their spores so that these spores can be collected by termites and they can form more fungal farms. As these were harvested in the immature stage, this particular process was stopped. And by each passing year, the population of this particular termitomyces have declined in that particular patch, and currently there are no termitomyces mushrooms popping up from those particular areas. Harvesting is not a bad practice, but you should be aware about the mushrooms that you are harvesting and how harvesting can affect their population. Another relationship that the fungus or the mushroom has with insect and plant is seen in the Auriculoscypha anacardicola fungus or the mushroom. So here the plant host is the Anacardiaceae family members like the mango tree, cashew tree, etc. And the insect is Neogrenia zeylanica, which is the coccyid, and the mushroom is the Auriculoscypha anacardicola. So what this coccyx does is that they draw the sap from the plant directly from the vascular system. So they will drain the sap. So that is the effect that the insect has on the host plant. Now, what the fungus does is that the fungus will trap these insects. They will trap these insects on a basal tubercle or a basal chamber, and these juvenile coccids are not allowed to reach maturity. Meanwhile, the fungus will draw nutrients from this particular coccids. So they will trap the juvenile coccids, they will draw the nutrients from this coccids, and they will not allow them to reach maturity. So if you think in a way, this is kind of a population control. So the fungus controls the population of the parasite, which in turn helps the plant. So the fungus is not having a direct relationship with the plant, although it grows on the plant, but it has an indirect effect on it. This particular mushroom was described in Kerala and is not reported from any other part of the country. Next relationship is the entomopathogenic fungi. So in the first few slides, we discussed about the positive interactions. In the previous slide, it was both positive and negative interaction. Now we are going for the negative interaction. That is the entomopathogenic fungi. So fungal pathogens. Fungal pathogens of insects. They belong to the order Hypocreales. Hypocreales. Fungal spores deposited on insect body germinate under right conditions, and the hyphae penetrates the cuticle and colonize the insect. So the insect body is penetrated by the fungi, and then the fungi will colonize the inner side of the insect. So the inner side of the insect is colonized by the fungus slowly and steadily. During this period, some fungus will control the insect. It will control the insect. Hence, some species of entomopathogenic fungi are called as zombie fungus because they control the insect. They will make the insect move to a higher elevation or an elevated area where they can spread their spores more efficiently. So once the internal surface or internal area is colonized, they will rupture the insect body and the fruiting body will emerge. This fruiting body will release the spores, and the spores will again infect other insects, and the cycle will continue. These entomopathogenic fungi are host specific in most cases. Another interesting phenomenon, this is not a relationship or an interaction with other organisms. This is an interesting phenomenon that you can observe in the forest. So two major phenomenon in glowing mushrooms are bioluminescence and fluorescence. So the major difference is that in bioluminescence, the light energy that is produced is because of a chemical reaction. So there is a particular compound called as luciferin. So this particular luciferin that is present inside the mushroom undergoes a redox reaction. So there is an oxidation and reduction because of the enzyme, or with the help of the enzyme luciferase. So luciferin will undergo redox reaction in presence of luciferase, forming the light energy. In case of fluorescent mushrooms, they do not emit light under normal conditions. They emit light when they are illuminated with UV radiations. So, if you have a UV lamp or a UV torch, and if you shine it at a mushroom which has fluorescent properties, you can see them glowing. So in the images that I have presented, you can see the first one on the left side is a bioluminescent mushroom. It is a bioluminescent mushroom. You can see that it emits light in dark conditions. And that particular mushroom is very common in the Western Ghats. It is the Philoboletus manipularis. Philoboletus manipularis. The one on the right is a fluorescent mushroom. So these mushrooms do not emit light in dark unless and until they are illuminated with UV radiations or UV light. So here you can see a beautiful blue color being emitted when they are illuminated with the UV lamp. So this is a Mycena species, commonly known as bonnets. In the next slide, you can again see another common bioluminescent mushroom that is present in the Western Ghats. That is the Mycena chlorophyllus. Mycena chlorophyllus. So you can see the first image without the dark or without bioluminescence, and the second or the down image at the bottom, you can see the mushroom in dark conditions, that is with bioluminescence. So here another common mushroom found in the Western Ghats, common bioluminescent mushroom found in the Western Ghats is the Mycena chlorophyllus. So you can see the bioluminescence. It has a very strong bioluminescence, and the bioluminescent mushrooms predominantly belong to this Mycena and related genera, like the Mycena, Philoboletus. Even the Philoboletus was earlier considered as Mycena species. On the right side, you can see the fluorescent mushroom. So this is also a very common mushroom, that is the Schizophyllum manipula. So on the right side, you can see the fluorescent mushroom. This is also a very common mushroom that is found throughout India. It is known as the split gill mushroom or Schizophyllum commune. Schizophyllum commune. So split gill or Schizophyllum commune. So if you have a UV lamp and you are going into the forest, you can explore these particular fluorescent mushrooms. So that's all for this session. I hope all of you have gained some understanding, basic understanding about mushrooms and how they are interacting with the nature. We'll hopefully meet again with another module. Till then, bye.